Today we're going to be exploring the power of language,
No, wow.
how words can shape our reality. And this is based on some pretty interesting research that we've both been looking at.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Really makes you think differently about how you use words every day.
Definitely. And that's what we're hoping to do with this deep dive, is to give our listeners some real actionable insights on how words can shape their reality.
So I think like one of the things that struck me was the idea that words are more than just sounds. They're actually weapons. What do you think about that?
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
They trigger emotional responses in people. They influence our beliefs. They can even motivate us to take action. You think back in history, how many movements have been fueled by just a few powerful words?
Oh.
Well, you've got slogans like, yes, we can,
Right.
or make America great again. These phrases resonated deeply with people, and yeah, they tapped into something powerful.
And it's true, like some words they just stick in your head like super glue.
And others, they just disappear like cotton candy.
Yeah. I think it really depends on the listener too, though, right? Because the same phrase can land in totally different ways depending on who's hearing it, what they already believe, how they're feeling at that moment, even their background and experiences. It all plays a role.
Yeah. So it's not just what you say, but what people hear.
Exactly. Like, think about the terms global warming and climate change.
Okay.
Scientifically, they're talking about the same phenomenon,
Right.
but the way they make people feel is totally different. Global warming just sounds more urgent, more dangerous, like something we need to act on now.
Yeah, climate change almost feels a little bit more neutral, doesn't it? Like, well, climate's always changing.
Right. And that's exactly what makes it so powerful, right? Because it's the same facts, but a completely different emotional response.
And that's something that's used all the time, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about the estate tax versus the death tax.
Right, right.
One sounds like a boring bureaucracy. The other's like, oh man, they're coming for us when we die.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's all about how you frame it.
And I bet that this framing thing, this is a huge deal in marketing, isn't it?
Huge. You think about how Starbucks doesn't sell medium coffee, they sell grande.
Grande.
Sounds so much more sophisticated.
It does.
McDonald's, they don't just offer you a larger size, they supersize it.
Right, right.
It's all about creating this feeling, this association.
So our decisions, our everyday decisions, are kind of being influenced by this wordplay.
It's happening all the time, yeah.
Wow. Makes you think. And one of the things I read was that using simpler language is actually better. Like, we shouldn't be trying to sound all fancy and sophisticated.
Totally. People think in snapshots, right? Simple images, simple phrases.
Okay.
It's way easier to grasp a simple message.
So you're saying, like, cut the jargon.
Cut the jargon, keep it short, keep it memorable.
And I bet you have a good example of that.
I mean, think about Steve Jobs, right? Describing the iPod as 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Right.
It's brilliant. You don't need a whole technical manual.
Right.
It just clicks. And you know what else? Yes, we can. Make America great again. These political slogans. Simple, impactful.
Right, right. They work. So I guess it's not just about being simple. There's got to be something else going on here.
Well, here's the thing. People like to think they're logical, but emotions, they're what really drive most of our decisions.
So you're saying logic takes a backseat to emotions?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. How often do you vote for a candidate because of their detailed policy proposals?
It's true. You got to connect with them. Feel like they get you.
Exactly. And you buy products that make you feel good about yourself.
Right.
Not always the most practical choice, but it feels right.
I am guilty of that, yes.
Yeah.
So are you saying, like, use words that make people feel something?
It's about tapping into those deep-seated emotions. Like, think about the phrase, the war on terror. It creates this feeling of fear, urgency. You compare that to something like, I don't know, counterterrorism initiatives. It's night and day.
Right. Yeah. Much more clinical.
Exactly. And that's why war on terror was so effective. It got people on board.
And there's probably tons of examples of that in advertising.
Oh, yeah. Like Nike's Just Do It.
Right.
It's not about shoes.
No.
It's about conquering your fears, achieving your dreams.
Right, right.
Apple's This changes everything.
Yes, you want to buy it.
Right. It promises a revolution. And you know what? Politicians, they do this all the time, too.
Right.
Gun control versus gun safety.
Universal
health care versus government-run health care.
Okay.
It's the same basic concept, but the way they make you feel.
Very different.
Totally different. And that's the power of language.
It sounds almost like it can be used for, I don't know, manipulation in a way.
Yeah. It can definitely be used to sway people. That's why it's so important to be aware of what's going on. How is language being used to shape your perceptions?
I mean, it's like we've been looking at the world through a certain lens, and now suddenly it's like, wait a minute, there's this whole other layer.
Exactly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right. So it's a little bit mind-blowing. I'm really curious about the ethical side of this, though. Like, how do we use this knowledge responsibly and effectively in our own lives?
That is a great question, and it's something we're going to dive into even deeper as we keep exploring the intricacies of language.
Okay, so language has this power to shape perception, make decisions,
Yeah.
almost like a secret code that we use every day.
I like that, a secret code. And if you can crack the code, then you can communicate so much more effectively. Think about it. You're negotiating a raise, you're giving a presentation, you're having a heart-to-heart with someone you love.
Yeah. It's like having the secret weapon that you can use in any conversation.
Exactly.
But how do we even start to figure out this language code?
Awareness. Just start paying attention. Pay attention to the language you see around you. Advertising, the news,
Yeah.
even just casual conversations.
So, like, be more mindful of the words we encounter.
Become a language detective. And you know what? You'll be amazed at what you start to notice.
I bet. It's kind of like learning a new language, isn't it?
It is.
Suddenly you can see all these patterns and connections that you never noticed before.
And the more you practice, the better you get at it. It's like a muscle.
Got to exercise that language muscle.
Yeah, and trust me, it's a muscle worth building. It can change your whole life.
Okay, I'm ready to get strong. Give me some practical tips. How do I put this into action?
Start with simplicity. Clear, concise language. It's always going to be more powerful than all that jargon and technical stuff.
Okay, so no more trying to sound smart.
Just say what you mean in a way that anyone can understand.
Got it. Keep it simple. What else?
Remember this. Emotion beats logic every time. You want to get people to take action, you got to connect with their feelings.
So don't just give them facts. Give them a story.
Exactly, a story they can feel, and that ties into framing. Put yourself in the other person's shoes for a minute. How can you present your idea in a way that makes sense to them?
So it's all about meeting them where they are.
Exactly. You got to understand their perspective. And don't forget, repetition.
Repetition.
The more you repeat a message, the more it sinks in. It's like, I don't know, brainwashing almost.
Okay, so keep it simple, make it emotional, frame it right, and repeat, repeat, repeat.
You got it. And one more thing. One of the most important things, actually, listen.
Listen.
Yeah, really listen.
More than we talk.
If you want to communicate effectively, you got to understand what the other person needs to hear.
So it's not about broadcasting our message. It's about understanding theirs.
Exactly. It's about making a real connection.
Okay, so we've got simplicity, emotion, framing, repetition, and listening. It's like, wow, we've unlocked the secrets of effective communication.
And anyone can do it. It just takes practice.
This is incredible stuff. I'm feeling like, wow, we have so much power over how we talk to each other.
We do. And that's the amazing thing about language. It's a tool that we can use to build relationships, to make a difference in the world.
It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. But, it's exciting, too.
This is exciting. So how do we start, like, putting this into practice? Like, I want to use these language muscles. I want to see what happens.
Start small. Think about everyday conversations. How do you ask for things? How do you share ideas?
Okay.
And be deliberate about your word choices. See what happens.
So it's about being more intentional.
Exactly. Think about the effect you want to have. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Trust me.
It's like training for a communication marathon.
It is. And the payoff is huge. I mean, think about it. You can build trust. You can get people on your side. You can make real change happen.
That's an inspiring thought. It's like every conversation is a chance to make a difference.
It really is. And the more you understand about language, the more powerful those conversations become.
It's like we're all wordsmiths,
Yeah.
shaping the world one sentence at a time.
I love that. And the more we practice, the more skilled we become.
Okay, I'm ready to get crafting.
Yeah.
Give me some examples. Like, how can I use this in real life?
Well, let's take persuading someone to see your point of view.
Okay, that's a good one.
Instead of just, launching into an argument, try putting yourself in their shoes.
Okay,
Ask questions, figure out what's important to them.
so like find that common ground.
Exactly. And then you can show them how your idea actually fits with what they already believe.
So it's not about tricking them.
No. It's about making a genuine connection.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're trying to get a friend to try a new restaurant.
Okay, I love this.
Instead of just saying, oh, you got to try this place, it's amazing, which we all do, right?
Right, yeah.
Think about what your friend likes.
Okay.
What kind of food do they enjoy? What kind of atmosphere are they looking for?
Yeah.
And then you can tailor your recommendation to them. So you might say something like, oh, they have this incredible friend's favorite dish, and the atmosphere is so friend's preferred ambiance.
Oh, that's so much better. It's
Yeah.
like you're speaking their language.
Exactly. You're showing them that you get them, and you're making it about them, not about you.
It's amazing how a little tweak in the wording can change everything.
It really can. And this works in all kinds of situations. Negotiating, resolving conflicts, even just trying to connect with someone on a deeper level.
So it's like we're all playing this language game,
We are.
and the people who understand the rules, they have a serious advantage.
That's a great way to put it. And the more we practice, the better we get at the game.
I like that. I'm ready to level up. What else can we do with this language toolkit?
Let's talk about giving feedback. That's a tough one.
Oh, yeah, feedback can be so hard.
Yeah.
How do we make it less, I don't know, painful?
By using language that is honest but also supportive.
Okay.
So instead of just focusing on the negative, what's wrong, highlight the positive first.
Okay. What did they do well? And then you can offer suggestions for improvement.
So it's like a compliment sandwich?
Exactly. And it's so much more effective because people are more receptive when they feel appreciated.
Okay, give me an example.
Let's say you're looking at a report that someone wrote and it's not great.
Right.
Instead of saying, this is a mess, you need to start over, which, ouch, right?
Yeah.
You might say something like, I really appreciate the effort you put into this. The data analysis is really impressive. But to make it even stronger, I suggest focusing on specific area for improvement.
Oh, that's so much better. You're acknowledging their hard work while still giving them direction.
Exactly. It's about creating a positive environment for growth.
It's amazing how language can turn something that could be negative into a positive learning experience.
And that's the power of understanding language. You can
Mhm.
use it to navigate even the toughest situations.
I'm feeling like I have a whole new set of communication skills.
And you do.
Yeah.
And the more you use them, the more natural they'll become. It's empowering, isn't it?
It is, because we have so much more control over our communication than we think we do.
It's like we've been looking at language in this whole new way. Like there's this hidden world underneath the surface.
Yeah, and once you see it, you can't unsee it, can you?
It's pretty amazing. But how do we take all this and actually use it in our lives? Like
Yeah.
it still feels a little bit overwhelming.
Well, you don't have to do everything at once, right? You start with one thing, you get good at it, and then
Ah.
you move on to the next.
Okay, so what's a good place to start?
How about this? How about getting people to understand your ideas?
Okay, yeah, I think we all struggle with that sometimes. Like, how do you get your point across effectively?
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they just focus on explaining their idea, all the details, all the logic behind it,
Right.
but they forget about the other person.
So it's not just about talking, it's about listening.
Yeah, ask questions. Figure out where they're coming from. What are their concerns? What are their values?
So like build a bridge before you try to cross it.
Exactly. And once you have that connection, then you can start to frame your idea in a way that makes sense to them.
So it's not about manipulating them into agreeing with you.
No, not at all. It's about finding that common ground.
Okay, I like that. So you're saying find the points where your idea overlaps with what they already believe.
Exactly. And that's how you get them to see things from your perspective.
It's like you're giving them the key to unlock the idea.
Yeah, I like that. And once you have that key, then you can start using language to really drive the point home.
So how do we do that? What are some of the tools in this language toolkit?
Well, we've talked about simplicity. We've talked about emotional connection.
Right.
But there are other things you can do too, like storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yeah, people love stories. They're engaging, they're memorable, and they help us connect with information on a deeper level.
So like instead of just giving a bunch of facts and figures, you weave them into a story.
Exactly. Think about it. You're trying to get your boss to invest in a new project.
Okay.
You could give them a spreadsheet with all the numbers,
No, right.
or you could tell them a story about how this project is going to change the company, how it's going to impact the lives of your customers.
I know which one I'd rather listen to.
Exactly. And stories, they stick with people.
They do. And what about those metaphors and analogies?
Oh, those are great too. They can help you take a complex idea and make it simple, make it relatable. It's like painting a picture with words.
I like that.
The more vivid your language, the more memorable it's going to be.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it, how much power we have over our communication.
It is. And the best part is, anyone can do it. It just takes practice.
So the more we play with language, the better we get at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more impact we can have.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how language works.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same way.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
It's really made me think about how I use language in my own life. And I feel like I have a responsibility now to use it wisely.
I think we all do. Words have the power to build people up or to tear them down. They can inspire change or they can perpetuate the status quo.
So we need to choose our words carefully.
Absolutely. And we need to be aware of the impact they have.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this exploration of language. It's been fascinating.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep using your words to make a difference in the world.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.